2020 has finally come to an end, and now it's time to talk about my most anticipated movies of 2021. Coming in at number 10 is Space Jam 2. So this one just makes it in, but I'm very curious about what it'll be after all these years. They're making a sequel to Space Jam that's supposedly going to incorporate hand-drawn animation like the original. So that's exciting, and I also have a friend who is working on the project, who I went to animation school with, who is extremely talented. That's why he's working on it. And so, yeah, it has to be on the list. So then at number 9, we have Sherlock Holmes 3. And the main reason, well, I don't know if I was the biggest fan of the first two Sherlock Holmes, but I'm really excited about this one just because now, with spoiler alert for Avengers Endgame, but with Iron Man now dead, Robert Downey Jr.'s main kind of character, I just I need more Robert Downey Jr. in my life. I need something, another franchise with him in it, and Doolittle ain't gonna cut it. So Sherlock Holmes 3, please don't suck. Coming in at number 8, now next we sort of have a slew of MCU films. At number 8, I have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, I believe, is what it's the full title. And this one I don't know really too much about. I know it's going to incorporate the Mandarin, who we, spoiler alerts for Iron Man 3, were kind of cheated out of in that movie. I still like the movie, but it'll be cool that we're seeing the real one. And also the fact, I just started watching Kim's Convenience, and I know the actor who plays the son, I think Sam Liu is the actor's name, is playing Shang-Chi, so should be interesting. And it's an MCU movie, and no MCU movie really thus far has ever sucked, so I think it's guaranteed to be at least decent. So then at number 7, we have another MCU movie, and that is Black Widow. So this one is supposed to come out obviously in 2020, and now it was pushed to this year. It was pushed a few times, and I'll admit I'm sort of mixed on where I put this one. That's why it's sort of in the middle of the lower half of this list. I love Black Widow as a character, but obviously the movie came a little late for it to be as exciting as it could have been, because spoiler alerts for Avengers Endgame, she is also dead now. But that being said, I've read some of the early Black Widow comics and seen her origin story, so that automatically makes me a little bit more invested to see if it resembles that at all. Probably won't, but yeah, I think it could be fun. I hope it's not the worst MCU movie, because there's a part of me that's afraid it will be, or the worst reviewed anyways. Not necessarily the one I think will be the worst, but yeah, I hope it's good. It won't be the best MCU movie, but I hope it's solidly at least in the middle of my ranking. And so now to top off the MCU trio, at number 6 we have the Eternals. So I think originally I had Black Widow above this just because I'm more familiar with Black Widow as a character and know what to expect. But at the same time, I think Black Widow is probably going to be a little too safe. And whereas Eternals is the MCU, hopefully just going bananas and giving us something really grand and epic. And it doesn't hurt the fact that there is both Kit Harington, who's Jon Snow in Game of Thrones, and Richard Madden, who's Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, as you can probably tell. You can see most of my pop collection here is actually mostly all Game of Thrones and a few other things. But so I'm super excited to see both those actors coming into the MCU. I'm really eager to see all the major Game of Thrones actors sort of pop up in things now that the series is over. And yeah, I think I hope Kit Harington's really good in this movie, because I feel like he's kind of a really underrated actor. I don't think he gets enough credit for how well he plays Jon Snow. And so now we're moving into the top 5. And so at number 5, I have Dune. So Dune was pushed back a whole year, and basically I don't actually know too much about Dune. I haven't read the books. I haven't even seen any of the older movies. I've seen bits of them, and it always seems strange to me, to be honest. And I think I don't think I would be anywhere near as excited for this movie if it wasn't being directed by Denis Villeneuve. But the guy is a pretty phenomenal track record, and I think probably both his last two movies were probably Arrival and Blade Runner 2049 were probably my favorite movies of the years that they came out. And if nothing else, it'll be, I think, spellbinding to watch because I've only seen Blade Runner 2049 once, and I need to rewatch it, but it's like automatically kind of in my top movies of all time, maybe top 50 at least, just because of like the visuals alone. It was probably the most beautiful looking movie I've ever seen. Um, yeah, and just the cast, it'll be exciting once again. I mean, he's a bit more than just the guy from Game of Thrones now, but Jason Momoa, who's also Aquaman, is going to be in this. That should be interesting, and among a slew of other crazy cast members. So I think it'll be pretty epic, and I really hope I can see it in a theater. Um, I just watched Wonder Woman 84 and not in a theater, and it was an okay experience, but it's a movie I really would have liked to see in the theaters because some movies like that are just made to be seen in theaters, and I think really all the top five I have now are definitely movies that should be seen in theaters, and I'll be bummed out if I can't. So in at number 4, we have The Suicide Squad. So this one, I think, if it weren't for being burned by the DCU a number of times, I think it could have been even higher. But that being said, I still have it pretty high above all my MCU, above all the MCU movies coming out this year, or hopefully coming out this year. I don't know, there's a chance I'll look back on this list and think, oh man, you're crazy for having that above all these way better MCU movies. But I think this one will probably not be terrible, but I mean, the DCU kind of never fails to surprise in that regard. But I like most of the DCU movies. I mean, a lot of them have been disappointing, but I enjoy most of them, other than Suicide Squad and Justice League, especially Suicide Squad. That's probably nowhere near the worst movie of my life, but probably the most disappointing movie of my life, just because of how excited I was for it. So maybe it's I don't know if it's a mistake to have the follow-up to that this high on my list still, but obviously they're going in a pretty different direction this time, and it's James Gunn who did Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, so I do have faith in it, and it's always great to see Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. As you can see, I'm also a fan of her. I said we were done all the MCU movies. No, I actually do have one MCU movie here, because I almost forgot it was coming out this year, but at number 3, we have the untitled third Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, which is supposed to come out in like December this year, so I think that's why I almost forgot, and I think I kind of doubt it actually will come out this year, but for now it's listed this year, so it makes the list. So I'm very curious. Apparently Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are coming back, and they're Alfred Molina as Dr. Octopus and Jamie Foxx as Electro. I mean, I guess they're going with the multiverse. I think if you can bring back Jamie Foxx as Electro, then I don't see why they can't kind of do the same thing with some of the X-Men characters from the Fox universe. But I'm definitely curious, and I don't really know too much more about it than that. So, but just how crazy it is has it at number 3 for me. So at number 2, we have another Tom Holland movie, which this is probably the boldest placement on my list, just because I think there's a really strong chance this movie will be terrible, and I really don't want it to be, but I think there's a strong chance, but that's just how much I want it to be good. That is at number 2, is Uncharted. I'm a huge Uncharted fan. I really can't believe I don't have a Nathan Drake pop figure, but yeah, I absolutely love the Uncharted games. I like them pretty much as almost any movie. I replay all the Uncharted games pretty much once each, roughly every year on average. And they're really the only games, to some extent, maybe outside of the Batman Arkham games, that I just don't get tired of replaying, no matter how old they get. I still absolutely, like, in some ways, the very first Uncharted game is my favorite. I know a lot of people aren't as crazy about that one, but I'm just so nostalgic for it, and I played it right when it came out, and I just freaking love Uncharted, and I really hope it breaks the video game movie curse. I think some video game movies haven't been absolutely terrible anymore, but they're still not good. I'm a bit of a defender of Assassin's Creed. It's not great, but I found it enjoyable at least. But I hope Uncharted is more than just that. I hope it really is a good movie, but I really doubt it will be. But it's at number 2 because I'm hopeful. Now number 1. To be honest, this I think maybe if some movies like the Batman or something that weren't pushed to 2022, that might have had a bit of a tougher time deciding. I probably still would have gone with the same number 1, but I at least might have had something like worth debating in my head. But with what is slated for this year now, there's no other movie that is even within the same realm of excitement for me as what I have at number 1. And what I have at number 1 is the 25th James Bond movie, No Time to Die. And I'm a massive James Bond fan, and everything I've heard about this movie just makes me think it might be the best Bond movie ever. I hope I'm not jinxing it, but it's the last Daniel Craig movie, and it's just the 25th movie overall. That's quite a milestone, and it's supposedly almost 3 hours long, which is significantly longer than any other Bond movie. So I really feel like this one is going to be something special and really something grand and epic. And I I don't know. I hear all sorts of rumors. I try not to, but I don't know. I did think at one point, I kind of had a feeling until I've heard some contradicting rumors that James Bond's going to die in this movie. I don't know. Things I've heard make me question that, but I don't know. I'm not sure where the franchise would go after if they do that, but it is the last Daniel Craig one, so there's a good chance it'll be somewhat of a reboot after this. But yeah, I'm very curious to see where it goes after. But more than anything, I'm just absolutely curious to see what happens in this movie. It looks everything I hear about it, and it's directed by Cary Joji Fukunaga. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he directed all of True Detective Season 1, which is one of the best things ever made, in my opinion. And I'm actually a defender of the second Season 2 and Season 3. I like all 3 seasons. Season 1's objectively, though, the best one, and it's one of my favorite shows. And so him doing a James Bond movie just sounds incredible. And so far, every other Daniel Craig James Bond movie has been amazing, like Casino Royale, Skyfall, and now this hopefully follows that trend with all the odd numbered ones being amazing. So I hope it goes out on the highest of notes. And yeah, without a doubt, this is my most anticipated movie of 2021. And thanks for watching. And this channel is quite new, but if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. And also, if you'd like to see what I do next, maybe subscribe. I'm thinking maybe I'll do a top most anticipated shows of 2021. And yeah, I think if all goes as planned, which there's a very good chance it won't, but if all goes as planned, this will be the best year ever for movies. So yeah, I guess I don't really have a slogan to say at the end yet of these videos, but stay safe and take care, and hopefully we get to see all these movies this year. Bye.